Welcome, one and all. Thank you for sharing some of your precious time with us. This is Three Guys Before the Game, episode number 536. It is our TCU preview. If you're a long-time watcher, listener, watcher of Three Guys, you probably are saying right now, wait a second, you guys have now done 21 shows called TCU Preview.
Is that right, 21?
I don't know. I mean, it happens.
12 years in the league, there's been a lot.
I mean, we review preview is what we do. That's what this show does. This time of the year, we preview and then we review.
Here's the deal. Try and not overthink it. Like if you want to listen to this and you're looking for TCU, right? Just look, it says TCU Preview. You know what it's about.
Boom.
Among other things.
It's hard to tell.
Because we can't say hanky preview or some of the nonsense we get into. You don't know what's coming.
You don't know. You have no... In fact, you know why? Because we don't know.
Thank you, Hoppy. That's really good. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. They're just terrific. By Gomart. Go for good times, go for Gomart. You know, the state tournaments, boys and girls basketball, MEC tournament underway.
Ready to go.
So as basketball fans across the state make their way to Charleston and Wheeling, you're going to be going by some Gomarts. Make the right call. Take out that rewards card, and if you don't have one yet, it's so easy to sign up, and you immediately get rewards points, save on your fuel and your food. Three Guys, I think I might, if I was like in St. Albans, I would just take a pontoon right to the Charleston Coliseum. And of course, it would be from Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. Greatest supply of pontoons for the entire year is there right now. So if you're scratching and thinking, I think we're going to do this year, this is the best time. And they sell those unbelievably fantastic Avalon pontoons made right here in the U.S. of A. They've been at it for working on, 60, 70 years. They're made in Michigan. But they're not easy to get a hold of. So the selection is great right now. Plus the accessories. We talked with the folks over there at Lou Wendell. They've had tractor-trailer loads of accessories. Multiple pontoon stuff. Visit them.
All boat stuff.
Oh, any kind, yeah.
Any kind of boat. That's fine.
Land cruisers. Three Guys also brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. They'll give us spreads on stats coming up in a bit, providing value beyond lay numbers. You got some numbers, don't you?
I do.
Any numbers from that Texas Tech game?
Yeah.
That was kind of easy to figure out, wasn't it?
Good start, bad finish.
Yes.
On to the TCU preview now.
Yes. Hi, Hop.
Hello, guys.
Welcome back.
Good to be back. Wait a minute, I was here last week, wasn't I?
You were here Monday. You weren't here Thursday.
We do 2 a week.
So you want me to start, or are you just saying hello?
It was my introduction to get you to go, and I was going to give you a little bit more of an introduction.
HOO?
It's time now for Hoppy's Obvious Observations as the Mountaineers get ready for their final home date on the calendar. And 2 more regular season games remain. And then next week, the postseason basketball tournament sponsored by the Big 12 Conference.
First, and Tony, you brought this to my attention. I hadn't thought about it that much, but when you appeared on my Coffee Clash and you mentioned it about...
By the way, thanks for the invite.
Thanks for coming on. The fact that there were 11,000 fans there Saturday for a team that's won 9 games. 11,000 fans there for that. And I made the analogy, we think of this as a football school, more of a football school, although if a football team was having the kind of win-loss season the basketball team is having, you would not have proportionally that size crowd. Okay, you would not be 3/4 full. It would not be 4/5 full.
Correct.
For the game. So hats off to Mountaineer Nation and the basketball fans for coming out of the game, number one. Second of all is that I've kind of moved on, from the season with all due respect.
What's that mean?
It means that the big story now is not about, look, we're going to break down TCU. The big story is not about TCU. The big story is not about Cincinnati. The big story is not about the tournament unless something unforeseen happens. It's about who will be the next coach at WVU. That is the story. And that is what Ren Baker is working on. And Josh Eilert, in all likelihood, unless they do something amazing in the Big 12 tournament, will not be the coach. I mean, that was really set in motion when he was hired on June 24th or 26th, whatever it was, when they had interim larger than his name. Okay, I think you got the feeling then that it was going to be an interim situation and that something unique was going to have to happen for him to continue to be the head coach. So, and that search is somewhat complicated by the fact that probably whoever you're looking at or trying to get is going to be in the NCAA tournament, so they're still playing. So that's a little bit dicey. But Josh Eilert and his staff, they deserve medals for what they've done this season. You're going to say, what do you mean? Well, 9 games. It took over late June. How many departures did you have from this team? Okonkwo, Mitchell, Wiggy, Toussaint, Bell, all those guys left. And it was chaotic because of the way of the Huggins situation came down. And then with Edwards getting hurt, with the situation with Battle, with the situation with Kirk Reese, all of that. And you know what you never heard from Josh? You never heard him complain. You never heard him, Brad, what do coaches always say? Well, you know, this guy's out, so therefore we can't do this. Well, if they do what I told them to do in practice, we would be fine with that. Or, you know, when I get my guys in here, I don't recall him doing any of that, the entire season. And he would have been entitled to do it. For one time, a coach would have been entitled to do that, and he never did that once. And you know what they did do? Maybe they didn't win a lot of games. They managed the team. This team was managed. You didn't hear them complaining. You didn't see people storming off. You didn't have guys being disciplined, have to be sit down. That I know of.
Hasn't happened.
So they deserve accolades and praise for how they managed this team. They won't be back next year, but they should be respected and honored for what they have done this season for the Mountaineers.
Make a lot of really good points, and you're right. He has thrown absolutely no one under the bus.
None.
This would have been under the bus year. Could have done it. Didn't do it. You know, the way the roster shook out, they returned 10% of their scoring from last year. And just, as I said, on that very rare appearance on your coffee clutch, the unintended consequences of what happened in the off season are just that. Unintended. There are so many things we didn't think about. There are so many things that have happened and unfortunately will continue to happen for the foreseeable future because of what happened last summer. That's just the reality of it.
Reality.
It's like a domino. This means this means this means this means this means this. That's just the way that it is. And so you're right. They have been valiant in their effort, in their determination, in their resolve to try to do the best they possibly can with what they're dealing with.
We said it the episode following the episode when Josh was in. I thought he was tremendous on our program back in the summer. Was it summer we had him on? Mm-hmm. Fall, whenever we had him on and spoke. I haven't changed my tune. I've said it a couple times since then. I think the job they did in a situation that was all the stuff you outlined, we can see all that. What you can't see is the toll that takes on you personally and on families when you don't know what's coming next for you. And the ability to put that aside, or at least on the back burner, while you try and keep the program afloat in a situation that I know we've said impossible, pick whatever adjective you want. Not just the circumstances, but also competing in the best league in America. To put your personal thoughts of what's coming next for me and my family on the back burner and to continue to plow through and show up and do your job and give max effort, tons of respect. We'll always have tons of respect. That's harder than anybody realizes unless you've been through it. Yeah. That's a really difficult spot they are in, and they've all handled it really well.
And look,
Josh first and foremost.
We know it's wins and losses, but in terms of what you want and what we expect a Mountaineer to be, what do you expect a Mountaineer to be? Right? Like, Bill Stewart, bow your back, jut your jaw, and do your job, which is exactly what he did. He and that staff did.
Yep.
And I hope it ends up being appreciated in some way because they deserve it.
I agree. And I think long term that it will.
Yeah.
I talked to the Texas Tech people Saturday before our game. They had a similar situation 12 years ago. When West Virginia first came in the league, Chris Walker was an interim coach.
Yeah, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he was the interim coach. And he said, man, I was talking to Chris Level, their color analyst, and he said, it's just so hard when you're when you're placed into that environment. And you just, like everyone knows, and these guys have been locked in and focused. And as I said, they've had no drama on this team. They have been trying to put out small fires all season long with eligibility, with injury, with, the suspension that Creasa had to start the year. You got to remember, man, like my score sheet when we went to Florida and Fort Myers had 8 guys on it, and only 7 potentially could have got onto the floor.
Yeah.
Think about you're playing Virginia. You're playing SMU, who's having a really good season, and you got 7 dudes.
Those guys,
hard.
The phone should be ringing off the hook for those guys, and first and foremost, Josh. Josh should have his pick of next jobs. It's probably hard for him to see it right now. I bet if you go back to him a year from now, the experience he gained, you talk about dog years, the experience he gained in coaching, and I'm sure it's really hard to see right now, will help him immensely moving forward. Now, how about just the media side of things? That's one thing to sit back when you're not doing it and think how you'd handle questions and what you'd say when you're out there. Then to actually have to do it multiple times every week in a season in which you haven't won many games, and I think he's handled that tremendously well. That's invaluable for a guy that had never done that before moving forward.
I've noticed several times this year where opposing coaches have these elongated conversations with him, either before the game or after the game. So I asked him last week, I said, what's the gist of those conversations? And he said the general theme has just been, dude, we know and we see what you're going through, and what you guys have done has been absolutely unbelievable. Because they're a pain in the butt to play. I mean, you don't think Iowa State, and especially TJ Otzelberger, he had it was like a powwow that they had. Because coaches respect coaches because coaches know more than anyone what you're dealing with. And
I guarantee every other coach in the league is looking at this situation going, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
He's got to do what?
Yeah.
He's dealing with what still?
Yes. So those are the guys that know the most.
A lesser coach would have said after every loss, look what I had to deal with. A lesser human being would have done that.
Nope.
Didn't do it.
No, he didn't. So it leads us into the Frogs of TCU. And if you're coming to the game, please arrive as if the game will start at 7 rather than 9. They did move the game time, which is very unusual. Basketball normally doesn't. It's locked. But they took it off of the main ESPN platform. It was supposed to be on 2. They moved it to Plus. And by moving it to Plus, West Virginia had the opportunity to move the time.
Good.
And so they go 7. TCU, I'm sure, certainly isn't complaining after they just had to go to Provo over the weekend. So that's why it's 7. So if you are coming to the game, 7 tip, and that'll be that. And then on the road Saturday to play Cincinnati in the final regular season game.
Do you want to do a quick tech review before we dive into TCU, or no? We just move on?
No, I think that we could do a quick tech review and just a 3-second sting.
I'll just give you a couple because I was giddy there in the first half.
Excuse me?
I was giddy in the first half.
About what?
It was going exactly according to plan. Tech's defensive struggles away from home. We talked about that gap between their defensive effort at home and away. It's about as pronounced as anybody in the country. What was happening in the first half?
Making shots.
Scored 44 points and made shots. On pace for 88 points after the first half. They couldn't guard. You were right there. We went in the game saying you got to make some threes. West Virginia led the Big 12 in 3-point field goal percentage, Hoppy, going into that game. We talked about that.
And made threes in the first half.
Made threes in the first half, made 8 of them. What did I text you at halftime, though?
Hey, you texted me, you said, be careful here.
I said, good news is you made 8 threes.
Bad news
is you made 8 threes. And you're only up
classic Mountaineer fan. It can't continue to go this well.
That's right. One other number we talked about heading into that game, you had to keep Texas Tech under 20 points at the rim. If you got there, that seemed to be a formula to beat them. under 20 points at the rim. West Virginia was close. That's why that game was close for a long time. 25 points for Texas Tech at the rim. So I've got a bunch more, but doesn't matter.
Yeah, you don't need to have the upper level analytical package to figure out what happened on Saturday. The big question is, after shooting 40% in the first half for Texas Tech and 37 from three, why did West Virginia's defense get worse? Why was Tech able to shoot 57% in the second half and 47 from three? Why? That's the question.
Well, what's the answer? I mean, they make adjustments.
I think the game means more to Texas Tech at this juncture in the season. You take a look at the standings as we record, and Houston's 1, Iowa State's 2, Baylor's 3, Texas Tech, BYU, Kansas, all tied for the 4th spot. The 4th spot gives you the double bye in the tournament.
Yeah, that's helpful.
They're jockeying big time, right? So they also needed a 20th win to make sure there's no doubts whatsoever as far as their postseason fate goes. So they had more to play for.
Tony, you made that point on my program, is that because I heard your open Saturday, you were talking about you can be the spoiler, but the motivation to be a spoiler is typically not as great as the motivation to improve
survival
postseason chances.
Yeah. All right, you ready to do the big?
Yeah.
What you got more there? You
asked a question. I'll give you a partial answer for why Texas Tech shot it better. That's the most points. They had 34 points off spot-up jumpers in the game. That's their second most all season. Their first most was against San Houston State.
Is a spot-up jumper unguarded?
I'm getting to that. That was the most points off unguarded catch and shoots since they had a win over Kansas back on February 12th. So they got 10 unguarded shots and got 15 points out of those. So that's the best points per possession on unguarded shots since back the end of January.
There's your answer.
For Texas Tech. That's the only partial answer. The second part of that, they got their most points off guarded catch and shoots in Big 12 play.
All season.
In Big 12 play, yeah.
That'll do it.
Made shots.
Yeah.
So both unguarded and guarded. There you go.
Didn't guard well enough.
Also guarded, and they made shots.
Mm-hmm. There's the answer. You ready for the full Monty?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
I think.
All right.
I've got way more than we have time to give you, so I'll give you the highlights.
In that case, a reminder to you that Three Guys is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. You say to yourself, what say you? What does that mean? Well, what Comax does is basically everything that your business needs. When it comes to equipment, every single thing you could ever think of, they sell it, including digital phone systems for your business from 1 line to 1,000. And they provide remote monitoring of your business network, and they can come in and perform the much desired computer colonoscopy. They'll check your network to see where you're strong and where you're weak, and they will make recommendations, and it's absolutely free. It's the free colonoscopy. And they'll give you a couple of crackers when you're done.
They give you that stuff that knocks you out with the best sleep ever.
And you wake up and you go like, whoa, that's awesome. That was really, really nice. Yeah. It's Comax Business Systems. They've been doing it for over 25 years. What your business needs is Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient. Don't get taken advantage of with your cherished data. Let's do this thing, shall we?
So I checked the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes the heater.
Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show.
Ready? You have 5, 4.
Spreads on Stats, brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. Yeah. It's busy time for them. Complete service public accounting and consulting, serving clients throughout the state and surrounding states since 1985. Priding themselves in doing more than just does the 1 carry over to the 2 and the 2 carry over to the 3. It's more than just number adders. They take a client-specific approach figure out what it is that you need and what's best for your business, the best solution, so that you're not paying more than you should. Conley CPA Group. Been delighted to have them on the show during this season.
Delighted.
Wonderful.
Great.
Brought in cookies, I think, didn't they? Or pie or something.
Yeah, they brought stuff in.
Cookies are good.
Yeah, really, really good. All right, what do we got? TCU.
Okay, Frogs come in. They're scuffling here just a tad as well. They've lost 2 in a row, lost 3 of its last 4. And you mentioned earlier that tough travel. They were just in Provo, head home, come back to Morgantown. Can you catch a little tired legs on the frog legs?
Oh, tired frog legs. That's special on the menu today. Tired frog legs.
Maybe that's the title if West Virginia gets a win. That might be the working title.
Done. Yeah, we'll take it.
Tony, use that in your scene setter.
Tired frog legs.
That's especially applicable here, though, because that's going to be something to watch. Let's jump right into one of the keys here. TCU in transition, West Virginia versus transition offense. So TCU is going to want to push it and run. They lead the Big 12 in transition possessions per game. But here's what's interesting. Just 7th in points per possession in those transitions. So they want to get out and run. They're going to get the most. They're going to push it the most. You've got to make them ineffective and get back and stop that. They lead the league in shots per game at the rim. In the first meeting, TCU had a season high in transition possessions in Big 12 play. Remember, they were running all night long on West Virginia. But that was also the most transition possessions West Virginia's faced in a Big 12 game. But that was the 3rd lowest transition points per possession for TCU on the season. So they got a ton. They didn't convert at the normal high rate that they can. It was the best points per possession transition defense that West Virginia's played all year. Can you replicate that? TCU will turn it over in transition as well. 5th in the league in turnover percentage when they run. So can West Virginia get back and can they force some turnovers? Now, Hoppy, I realize what I'm asking there. This isn't a strength of West Virginia's team.
Right.
349th out of what, 363? So 349th out of 363 teams in steal percentage, 302nd in opponent turnover percentage. So West Virginia doesn't get a lot of steals or turnovers. So that'd be great because TCU will give you some, but West Virginia hasn't been able to do that. But that's going to be number one key. Can you get back and stop transition? One other number, kind of went down further in the weeds here.
That's a stunner.
The 3 best defensive performances West Virginia has had in transition have been the 3 games where it played the most zone. UCF in a win, most recently, TCU there, and St. John's. So, which would make sense. If you're running back to get to a spot on the floor, that should be easier and you should be better able to do that than running back trying to find guys.
Who's got who?
Who's got who?
I got 12.
I'm looking around and I missed that guy.
I got 12. Who's got 12?
So run, but get back and just pack that lane in. Can they do it again? Will West Virginia throw some zone at TCU? Really, the only zone TCU has faced this year came against Baylor. So Baylor played zone on 56 possessions in a win over TCU. In the rest of Big 12 play, TCU's faced just 17 possessions of zone. But the reason why I bring that up, Hoppy, is that what you just asked?
Yes.
Why am I bringing up zone defense?
Yes.
You just asked that? Thank you. Appreciate you asking. TCU's last in the Big 12 in points per possession against zone. West Virginia's had some success in zone this year.
Stay in the zone.
Yeah.
Pee on it. Just stay in the zone.
Now,
pack it in.
TCU has taken the lead over West Virginia in 3-point percentage within league play.
After Saturday.
Yeah, well, TCU 1, West Virginia 2. It's really close. But TCU doesn't like to shoot a ton of threes. They much prefer to get to the basket. So do you zone them a little bit? And again, they hit threes. Tip your hat.
That's good analysis.
They had it, if I'm not mistaken, did they have a double-figure lead first half at BYU?
I believe they did.
And they lost double figures. How about them dudes out in Provo?
Yeah.
17,978 on hand.
Really good environment there.
17,978. That's like professional basketball-sized crowd.
Yeah.
One other thing to watch.
Yeah.
This has been a problem all year, so I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Watch the turnovers. TCU, 17th nationally in steal percentage, 28th in opponent turnover percentage. In the first meeting, West Virginia turned it over on 24% of its possessions. Almost a quarter of its possessions. TCU had 10 steals. That turned into a 26-8 points off turnover advantage. Here's a bizarre stat from that game.
Oh, 26-8 isn't bizarre enough?
No, this is weird. This was weird. West Virginia had 11 players playing that game. Okay?
I'm with you.
Only 5 of them had turnovers. All 5 of those players had at least 3. Wow. So not everybody was turning over, but the 5 guys that had turnovers
They did it
had
really
a lot.
well. They did it really well. Really well.
That was weird. Just kind of jumped out to me. So you got to try and limit get back on defense. You've got to try and limit your turnovers. Your hope here, this is another big gap, home and road split with TCU, much like Texas Tech was. TCU comes in at the 100th percentile defensive rating at home. So it's basically points per 100 possessions. They're 23rd percentile on the road. So they give up some points. So can you just outscore them? West Virginia hasn't really shown the ability defensively to stop many people. UCF struggled offensively against West Virginia. This is one where you just score. Just score on TCU. That's going to be a key.
Senior Day will be interesting here, won't it?
It will.
What does it mean? We talked about that in football.
I'm looking at this thing. There's no one that's been here for 4 years. No, there's no one that's been here. I mean, Jesse Edwards is done. He'll walk. Raekwon Battle's done. He'll walk. That's it. Oh, hey, Cook. He's done too. 3 guys.
You should call it just PTD, Possible Departure Day. PDT.
Yeah, I mean, those are the people that are out of eligibility. That doesn't mean you won't have 13 guys walk.
Potentially.
Come out as a group. By the way, BYU averages 17,000.
Yeah. I must admit, not disappointed that the world champion Mountaineers didn't have to go there this year.
Number 2
that'd be a
is
tough
Kansas.
place to win games. I don't care how good you are going in. That's going to be not easy.
So
go ahead. I've got a lot more, but basically those are the highlights. I'll save the other stuff for later.
You know who's last in the league? You know.
In attendance?
They may be first in one category, but last in another.
Really, Houston?
Yeah.
Is that right? That's just because they're building small. What's their attendance?
65.
Yeah, I think the whole thing plays is like 7,000, isn't it? That's all it is.
8, maybe.
7 or 8, is it?
I'll find
It
out.
doesn't matter. Those attendance numbers don't mean anything anymore.
What does that mean?
Well, nobody does them real anymore.
Real?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
A lot of it's tickets distributed, people that have said they might want to go. I mean, just whatever.
You think they count people that just, what, do they have to send a note in and say, hey, we're thinking about going, they just add them on there?
Just
I might wanna go
number of phone calls that came into the ticket office inquiring about it. People that checked on StubHub to see what the costs were for that game. I think they get counted sometimes.
Did you go to the game? Well, I thought about it. Okay, there's one.
You know who was at the last Mountaineer game? Former 3 Guys guest.
Oh.
Charles Wesley Godwin.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I talked to Chuck, and it was a good time to talk to him and catch him because do you know about how busy he's going to get? So I went on to StubHub or whatever it is, Ticket Geek, SeatGeek, whatever, and I just put his name in this morning. There's 52 dates, and my man is going to be like the old Johnny Cash song, I've been everywhere, man.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's touring with Luke Combs this summer.
Oh, yeah.
And it starts in April, and it basically doesn't stop. He goes pretty much through August, just nonstop. He's all over the place twice.
He's already blowing up, but he's going to blow up.
Yeah.
And then it's coming along in a great time with Luke Combs. Luke Combs, of course, at the Grammy performance with Tracy Chapman in Fast Car, it really just,
yeah,
that was a rocket ship. It's coming for.
So it's good to see Charles. He brought his 2 little ones there, his wife as well, his brother who lives here in Morgantown. And he told me, he said, I think this is my first hoop game since Patino was coaching Louisville.
Oh,
my goodness.
Yeah. Remember that crazy game
game
with
day.
Terrence Mitchell? And the whole
ESPN
thing?
Game Day was here,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was here for that. How about this bizarre one? So I go up there concession stand before the game. Next to the apparel, Chuck over the apparel.
You have to go buy concessions?
No, I was using my what do they call those? My Tux Bucks. What do they call those things? They give you a card. Anyway.
What card?
Media. They give you a card to
that's
go
redeemable for money at the concession stand instead of opening up
there's
the
no more
lounge like
media.
they used
There's
to.
no more media room.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
just
know
give you a
it's
voucher.
been a while since you've been there, but the Jerry West Lounge doesn't exist anymore. But so who's working the checkout at the
That's the big one that looks like a grocery store almost. It's just wide open. There's different
Correct.
things. Yeah. That's always my go-to, too.
You'll never guess. 100 years. David Mayfield.
Excuse me?
Really?
Was working?
Check
Fundraiser for what group?
Romney Rotary.
Really?
They use groups, fundraising groups, and David and his wife were there running cash register. And I did not recognize him. He said, dude. And I went, David Mayfield. Looks the same.
What number?
35.
Well done.
And I told his wife, I said, did you know him when he played? She goes, no, I knew people that knew him when he played. And I said, he wouldn't be able to play anymore.
No.
David
He hit
acknowledged
you right in the face.
he would be suspended. He would be targeting three times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he wanted to or not, he'd be out 3 times a year.
He'd hit you.
Yeah.
By the way, Cougar Arena, 7,000.
7,000. So they're filling the thing up.
Yeah.
I don't know why he had to take a shot at people. So you're saying in the past those numbers weren't accurate?
More accurate.
They weren't accurate?
More.
Then they're more accurate
Yeah,
now.
it's done a different way now. A lot of people just do it on tickets distributed. Didn't used to be done that way. So whatever.
Tickets printed.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Tickets sitting on
see
the
the crowd
desk.
if it's good. Not worry about numbers.
I'll just tell you this: what West Virginia's
All due respect to your numbers over there.
Well, it came up, and I was just,
Oh, don't care.
well, Tony mentioned it, and I just thought I would back it up with some information. That's all.
this is a mind blower with the way West Virginia fans have turned out this season. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
It's one of the things, I've said this before on here, I'll say it again as we get ready to enter the coaching search part of what's happening. That matters.
Sure.
That's one of the very best things about this job is the support that you get. That's something that is really high on coaches' lists.
Yeah.
What are you looking for? Support. Not just internal administrative support. What's the fan base give you? It's great support here, no question.
Well, last week, didn't On3 have him as one of the oases of NIL? Right? Isn't that what they wrote?
Something like that.
Strong NIL?
Yeah, something like that.
It's out there. I mean, the perception is out there. All right. 3 guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. And as I said, they got some just unbelievable, some boat crafts, some great boat crafts are there right now. And that tri-tune that they've got, that 3-guy special that's cooking right now, it is off the chart. Off the chart. It's an Avalon, and it is fantastic. So go down there. Mike and Gary, Tom and Lou, they're all boaters themselves, and they can hook you up because I don't need to tell you now. You thought I was kidding. When I said the weather's changing,
Oh,
I mean, you could be in the water
Today. If that boat was on Cheat Lake, I'd be out there as soon as this is over.
It's the best time of the year if you're in the market for a
better get
pontoon.
now. Now, because people today will be thinking, better.
Don't be the guy that walks in there or the lady that walks in there and says, I'm looking for this. Well, we just got rid
sold
of
it.
that one. So get on in there, LouWendellMarineSales.com. That's LouWendellMarineSales.com.
Hold on. Before you hit the mic, can I bring up one thing?
Yeah.
I want to send our condolences out to the Catlett family.
Absolutely.
Annis Catlett
Absolutely.
passed away earlier this week, 84 years old, was First Lady of West Virginia basketball for a long time when Gail was here. So certainly thinking of Krista, Kara, and of course Gail as Annis has passed.
They were married for 60 years. 60 years, and we all covered Coach Catlett a lot, and he always talked about, or whether even when he wasn't coaching, he and Annis. I mean, they were a couple.
And she was around.
Yeah.
She was around and involved, and I've said this before, she was always great to me. And my fondest memory there, Tony, when we were in the Sweet 16 run out in Boise.
Yes.
I will always think fondly of Annis for a lot of reasons, but mainly this. She played along with my nuttiness superstitions, which they were extensive back then, Hop. They still exist, but they were extensive back then. And as we were making that run through the NCAA tournament, one of my things, I handed out tickets before the game down in the lobby or on the bus on the way over to different people. And I give her a lot of credit for putting up with my nonsense of, I couldn't give her tickets before I could give her tickets. And she never batted an eye, never said I need him, never just
She let you be
she
crazy.
let me be Crazy. And I will always think fondly of Annis for letting me be crazy in what was the midst of an unbelievable fun run.
Jeez.
Certainly.
She was from right here in Morgantown.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was talking to Jay Jacobs, and they grew up together, right in the same neighborhood, Hopecrest.
Crazy.
I believe he said is up there, and so absolutely. So condolences to the Catlett family. All right, you guys ready to do this thing? Time for Textual Healing. It's brought to us by episode800.com. That's the place where you can take a look and purchase Three Guys gear, Three Guys coffee, Mountaineer roasting coffee. You were over there. Someone was over there. Dave was over there.
I think Dave was over there. Shelves were packed.
Shelves were packed. Yeah. They're like, it's going. It's going. And you had some. You got some in your cup right there.
No, it's already gone. Just finished it.
Yeah.
I'll always go a little game day grind on the show.
Game day grind is available. It's really good coffee. Light roast. It's a blend. It's really good. By the way, Rusty, taking 13 WVU students. Rusty Isaacs is the owner. Taking 13 WVU students to South America. They're visiting the coffee farms.
What?
Leaving later this week.
Really?
Yep.
Whereabouts in South America?
I'd have to ask.
Okay.
Don't know, but yeah, he's bringing 13 WVU students to show them
How about that?
The whole deal.
Impressive.
Yeah. It's a real deal. I mean, he personally knows the guy that grows the beans that does this coffee that we make. Really neat.
That's cool.
It's real. Yeah, real stuff. All right, let's just kind of jump in here. Here's one for you. This is from DJ in Monroe County. Boy, Monroe County's beautiful. Beautiful.
Weren't you down there?
Been there. Mm-hmm. With all of the college football playoff talk regarding 12 teams, it makes me ponder this question. Are the SEC and the Big Ten going to eat themselves? How are Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, LSU, Georgia not going to devour each other? How are Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, Oregon, Penn State not going to ruin chance after chance for representation? Now, this will keep the conferences happy, but the individual programs, our CFP chances become slim. As a West Virginia fan, I'm satisfied with being a top program in a conference that gets a bid but isn't near as tough. Mm-hmm. Now, let's go and get that bid in my lifetime. Please be blessed, DJ, Monroe County.
Mm-hmm. It's a great text, and it's a great point, and it's coming, but it's part of why those conferences are asking for more bids. It's part of, Hoppy, we started talking about this back in the fall. It's why suddenly strength of schedule will be getting pushed now. Because those two leagues need to explain why 3 and 4 loss teams need to be in the playoffs. So suddenly, after all these years of you just got to win games, no one wants to talk about schedule strength, suddenly they'll start pushing, well, look what we have to go through in our league.
Yeah.
Suddenly that'll be a thing.
Whereas Baylor's 11-1 and Alabama's 7-4. 7-5.
Oklahoma went 7-5, but they should get in. Look at the schedule they played. Yeah. That'll start to be a thing. But DJ makes a great point.
I talked to someone in the know this weekend about telling the Big Ten and the SEC to get away from us with your request for 3 bids. Just say, not doing it. So the person that I spoke to, I said, why can't you just kind of, thumb your nose at them for that and just say, not doing it. Don't care. I said, here's the issue. If you were to do that and they were able and they wanted to bow up and play hardball, then they would expand and they would take 8 more teams each. Now you got 2 24-team leagues. Now you know what you have? Now you legitimately have enough for a 48-team. This is how we're going to determine the national champion. These will be these 48 schools. So if that were to come into play, then your hope is, from your West Virginia perspective, are you one of the 48? That's
as we said Friday night. If you go in and you think about it, the Big 12 getting 12 is probably a pretty good deal on that side. Or 2. Sorry, Big 12 getting 2. There's probably some merit there to grabbing the 2 as long as you can stay around in this. I think maybe the more distasteful, what I said was, the whole thing just feels distasteful. Those 2 leagues being able to try and tell you what you have to do, you don't like the way that looks. The automatic buys might be the more distasteful part of the whole process. Them demanding the automatic buys. Yeah. Now, maybe they get the automatic buys every single year. Maybe it's not up for debate. But what are we playing for then?
I think a lot of jockeying is going on right now. A little rhetoric going back and forth, just kind of, push, pull. Hoppy, I don't know if you were here the day that I instituted a new rule on 3 Guys, but I do 1 long text now per show.
That's it's your prerogative. You set the rules.
Thank you. Here's the long text. Gentlemen, I've been gone for a while, but something happened yesterday that called me back. I work on Capitol Street in Charleston. As is tradition in the office, I took my boss out to lunch next door to celebrate her birthday. And when we approached the door in the rain, very pleasant young man held the door and insisted we go in ahead of him. He also insisted we go ahead of him in line. We thought he was with the people in front of him, but he said no, he was alone. So we asked him to join us. He agreed.
I know where this is going, and it's a stunner.
Neither of us knew him from Adam, but he had already made an impression on us, both as quite as a gentleman. We were seated, ordered the food, came out quick. As we began to eat and talk, we discovered that he had recently moved back from Morgantown. We began to ask him about his family and work, and as you would when getting to know someone, discovered that he knew some folks in common from church and that he's now working in sports journalism. One thing led to another as I spoke to him. I found out that you guys know him very well. I've heard Tony refer to Tyler County Consolidated many times, but I had no idea that I was having lunch with him. I heard some interesting stories about things like how great Tony's sandwiches are, house sitting, and the like. We shared experiences about winters in Morgantown, and I have to say that you guys made quite an impression on him. He's a reflection of the professional gentleman he worked with at West Virginia Radio. We enjoyed lunch so much, we bought his too. Taylor's just one part of the Three Guys legacy that you have given the world. Thank you. So here's my question. I don't remember him. Did he work? He worked here?
No.
Brad?
For a while.
We've had guys here. I remember Matthew used to do this show, right? Timmy Gwynn worked here. I don't remember a Taylor.
Do you
remember him?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes. Taylor, an outstanding young man, was professional. He was, I think that you beat him like a rented mule a lot, but you got the best out of him. And it was a sad day when he left.
I will say that last line's what's frightening, but glad this one turned out okay. Taylor's just one part of the Three Guys legacy you've given the world. That's always.
His name was Taylor.
Tyler.
Oh, that kid. Now I get it.
Nice young man.
Oh, he's terrific.
I heard this story shortly after it happened.
He called me.
I was horrified.
He called me last week and told me.
Horrified. Wow.
Horrified.
Well,
Turned out okay.
I mean, Taylor's now going to eat with, he could have been kidnapped. That poor little buddy. I don't know if he's up for that yet.
Tell you what, when somebody bought his lunch, that made his day.
Yeah, he did.
Well, I don't blame him.
He didn't.
Blame him.
He didn't hesitate.
That was nice. Very nice gesture.
He didn't hesitate when the food came around. This is Jim from Charleston. Latest discussion about officials on your podcast has a story of Jim Valvano once told. An official was right near him. Valvano asked if he could get a technical foul for what he was thinking. No, coach, I can't give you a technical foul for what you're thinking. That's good because I think you suck. And the ref gave him the technical. There's no justice sometimes. Three Guys, John from Nashville. Tony, during your last episode, you expressed amazement that the article from the Minnesota Gopher PR department never mentioned the name of Caitlin Clark in Iowa's blowout victory and her exceptional performance. I was as surprised that you and Brad never took the opportunity to mention the name of the losing coach in that game. Out of sight, out of mind? To be honest, I didn't put two and two together there.
She had a good day yesterday or this weekend. Saturday?
Caitlin Clark?
Yesterday.
Tremendous again. We were talking about that Minnesota Golden Gopher game that Hop, she was unbelievable.
Yeah.
She buried them right at the start, had the first 15 points of the game.
You see what they did yesterday? Maya Moore was there at the end of the game.
Oh, I watched the whole thing.
Wasn't that neat?
Before the game, she was there.
Oh, was that before the game?
They met before the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
You passed Pete Maravich. That's something.
Crazy.
Nolan Ryan showed up for the game.
Excuse me?
Yeah, Nolan Ryan. The pitcher.
Really?
The Iowa game?
I want to see Caitlin Clark. Said, might be my last chance going to the game.
How about that, dude?
You know, and tickets were something like $500.
Well, it wasn't just her. That was a great game. Ohio State 2, Iowa 6. I mean, that was an NCAA tournament final type of game. It was fun.
I'm reluctant to read the next text because I don't want it to become a habit, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because if I open this door, then everyone's going to say, please, please, please. So I'm only doing it once. Should I do it?
That is what's going to happen. These are hard. It's hard to help.
That puts me in a tough spot,
It's hard
right?
to help every cause.
So anyway.
You know what? Do it. This isn't.
It's a one-off. I'm not doing it all the time.
Okay. Or you can
This is first in. He gets first in. First up.
You can do it and then decide in the future. I mean, it's
No, I'm not going to do it all the time.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. It's impossible to do these. You can't do these. So I'm not doing it. I'll do this
Your call. Your call.
Hey, three guys, I'm a longtime listener. My name is Andrew Wentz. I'm the assistant baseball coach at Grafton High School. We're looking for help, currently trying to raise funds for a new baseball facility. If you look at our website, it'll give you the rundown of what we're trying to accomplish. Commemorative bricks, so much. So listen, one off, if you know Grafton, if you're used to live in Grafton and now you're a multi-billionaire that you've made in crypto, here's a website you can donate to Grafton's baseball program. Friends of GraftonHSBaseball.com. Friends of GraftonHSBaseball.com. Go to their website. Andrew, thank you very much. You were first in. Don't come to me if you got a chicken fry or something else. Not going to do it. Thank you.
Wow.
You just can't. You can't, Hoppy.
I know.
You can't. Move on. Next.
I mean, on your gossip gab thing that you do, it'd be impossible. Hey, Hoppy, we're having that. You can't do it, right?
Yeah, I know.
Texter, Pigpen from Boone County. I'm sure you were kidding that M&M Mars is using Comax, but Reese's is Hershey's. Yeah, whatever. Don't forget the world's greatest potato wedges are participating Go-Marts.
Those sound good. I'd eat those right now.
Hop, you'll be heading down. You going to the legislature this week, Hop?
Yeah, tomorrow.
You stop at a Go-Mart?
Yeah.
Get the
They
rewards
still
card?
going?
What's that?
The legislature still going?
This should be the final week. A lot going on. I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then Saturday we'll be doing single A and double A girls Saturday night on Metro News.
Boy, it's going to be a long run for you.
Yeah,
Long week. Mort writes in from Kanawha City. Scope spreads, maybe even the hanky super spreader hobby. As a born and bred West Virginian, I was raised to be a gentleman, less the hanky, to hold others accountable and to acknowledge others when they are correct. Despite of my oft critical responses to your railroad knowledge, I've come here today to say you are correct, sir. Correct in your analysis of people entering a passenger train and then hiding in the restroom to forego presenting the conductor with a ticket. In fact, the YouTubes are filled with this being practiced in Japan across their vast national passenger network. I'm hoping to catch either of the men or the Lady Mountaineers at the upcoming tournaments in Kansas City and potentially getting more enthusiastic. Let's Go's on the sidewalk. Oh, so apparently this guy yelled at me.
You didn't do it?
He says, I'm trying to get a potentially more enthusiastic Let's Go on the sidewalk from the WV play-by-play announcer than the last time. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really not into that. Like, if you just scream Let's Go across the street and I'm in Kansas City, chances are I'll give you a hand wave.
Hand wave is good.
Fine. I remember one time in Charleston, so it was late at night. I was walking back and someone said, Tony, give us a go herd. I gave it to him.
Nice of you.
Sure. Go herd, fine. Texter, big guy in Mullins writes, hello, firecrackers. In 2007, at a family reunion on Labor Day, I was in charge of the fireworks.
Oh, jeez.
I had it set up perfectly. Everyone was out in front on the hill. Imagine a small valley, 50 yards from the hill, another hill, 100 yards on the other side of the valley. We're almost eye level. So showtime comes. I've got about 7 or 8 firework mortar tubes set up on a sturdy but old wooden table.
Sturdy.
First mistake.
Yeah, debatable.
Always use something anchored in the ground. Long story short, the table falls over. The mortars start firing at the 100 or so people on the other hill. Talk about running. Wow. Needless to say, I have not been in charge of fireworks since. Yeah, that could have been a problem. Texter, duo or trio, I just finished listening to the Texas Tech preview. I almost paused it a few minutes in to set a mid-pod text when you started talking about lamb. I got to say, some of the best lamb is raised right here in West Virginia. Our lambs are born and raised about 5 miles from the Flatwoods Go-Mart. Let me know the next time you'll be around. I can hook you up. Oh, I love lamb. I did not realize that West Virginia had great lamb. Now, I'm familiar with the Cattlemen's Association. Now, they'll make you a ribeye steak that'll make you want to change your name. It's so good. Whew. Really good. I'm all for lamb.
Yeah, I like lamb too.
Yeah, reach out to me. Texter, Philip from Philippi. Hello, three guys. Pre-game text, feeling good about beating Texas Tech. I hope this ages well.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, I want to say if you've have not seen the Hudson Clement story on Twitter, check it out. Warms your heart, that's for sure. Yeah, there's a 12-minute docu thing on Hudson. Pretty good story.
On Clement?
Hudson Clement, yeah. I don't know who produced it, but it's pretty good. It's got interviews with his mom and his dad and how they got to West Virginia from Michigan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is his brother coming here?
Oh, yeah. He's in.
Murphy.
Murph. Mom calls him Murph. I like that. You know, I like names that are different. Texter, AJ and PA, just to let you know, Tony, Reese's is a product of Hershey's, not M&M Mars, as you referenced in your Comax ad at the beginning of Thursday.
Did you say that?
Why don't you just kill me? Yeah, I did. I want to make sure that a Pennsylvania company receives proper credit. Another Pennsylvania chocolate company, Gardeners of Tyrone, makes a peanut butter melt-away that will make Brad forget all about Reese's. Provide me with an address, and I will send you 3 guys a sample. I look forward to each episode, though I do miss the third guy when he's a no-show. I think he may be referring to you, Hop.
Yeah, I know.
Here's where we are.
Okay.
With food solicitation. I sent him our address. And this comes at a really good time of the year because, basketball is getting ready to end. This is like, how in New York City they have Fashion Week? Mm-hmm. 3 Guys is now entering our food season where we survey foods and review foods that potentially we could sell on our 3 Guys website.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That was it.
And so,
wait a minute.
No, it's true because, I went to that hunting fishing show yesterday.
Yeah.
And there was the longest line you would ever imagine on this cat from Eastern PA that sells pickles.
Oh.
Excuse me?
There was a line from here over to the high school of people lining up to buy these custom-made pickles.
Oh.
So I said to myself, they do sell wholesale. I'm willing to, you know what we're about, right? We're about taking, and this is for West Virginia people, I'm willing to take a taste or a look at potential products that we could sell for you on our website. They can't keep that coffee in, right? The popcorn goes crazy. It pops off the shelves. So we are in our current, if you want to send us something, the address is 260 Spruce Street, Morgantown, 26505. We make no commitments whatsoever that we'll sell it, but we'll taste it, look at it, sniff it, see. Hey, 2 guys, and the third guy, if he shows up, it might be you, Hop.
Yeah.
The guy who sang the national anthem at the Texas Tech game was really good. I bet he's in the top 10 for how fast he sang it. Did anyone time that guy? He was really good, and I always like the ones who just sing it and don't make it all about them. I'm sure Hoppy will be back full-time someday, signed by Steve in St. Mary's. The gentleman who sang it is a friend of mine, Randall Reed Smith. He happens to be the curator of the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History.
He just got promoted, by the way.
Oh, what is he now?
He's now the secretary.
Of what?
Arts,
all
that. I saw him, had him on my coffee clutch last week.
Oh, you did?
At the Capitol, and he told me he was going to be singing.
He's the best.
He is the best.
Now 11-2 all time. He was 11-1 going into the game.
Yeah. He sang professionally for years in Europe.
Yes.
And now he's back, and he explained to me, they're going to do, I shouldn't bring it up because I don't know the whole story, but they're going to do some work inside the Capitol, which is already magnificent, but they're going to add some artwork inside the rotunda of the Capitol. He was telling me about that.
Really?
Yeah.
So when they do that, they go to Pottery Barn and pick up some stuff, or how do they do that?
No, they have specialized people who do these things. When Cass Gilbert, here we go. We just went down a rabbit hole.
Give us a Cass Gilbert.
According to Randall Reed Smith, Cass Gilbert, the famous architect designer, designed the famous West Virginia Capitol, and he had an idea or ideas for what was going to be, I don't know what you call them, but the archways inside the dome, that there's nothing there right now. They're just blank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And he had ideas for designs, but they were never done. So now Randall Reed Smith got some money from the governor, and they're going to do them. And they're going to be like symbols or representations of scenes from West Virginia. It's going to be a nice addition. It's going to be done this year.
This is signed. Next texter comes in. Ralph in
Well,
Charleston.
that went nowhere, didn't it?
That was good. Ralph in Charleston monitoring Hoppy in the upper rotunda. He says that West Virginia should recruit based on geography. New York City guards, they'll run through a skyscraper to get to the basket. 2, we need some Eastern European guys. They've lived a life of adversity that they've overcome. 3, we need descendants of coal miners, any state, because they'll get down and dirty. 4, we need some Midwestern guys who are corn-fed, strong as a silo in a tornado. Thanks for your basketball coverage. You keep us paying attention. Texter, hi, 3 guys. Buddy in Hampton, Virginia. What do you think that the reason is the West Virginia basketball team can be leading or at least be close at halftime and then come out and get beat soundly in the second half? At first, I thought it was because we didn't have a deep roster, a complete roster, but now we do, and we're still getting beat the same way. I think we're also getting beat soundly on the way we defend the pick and roll, and that we ought to change our defensive strategy. What do you all think? Thanks. I think they've tried to guard the pick and roll about as many different ways as you possibly can this year.
Yeah, I agree.
And as I said earlier, I just think at this point, this late in the season, teams have more to play for.
By the way, people have been trying to defend the pick and roll for about,
Ever. Charlie from Midlothian.
What did Naismith say about the pick and roll?
Hedge it.
Fight through the screen.
Go over it. Go over it.
Over the top. Fight through the top.
Go over it. Speaking of that, I watched Deuce McBride last night.
Yeah.
And he had a fantastic game. He played over 40 minutes in the game because Brunson got hurt. He had 16, I think, and played really well, and they lauded him at the end of the game. You talk about a dude that'll go over a screen.
Oh.
You could see his training, right? Why watch him? He battles.
By the way, I turned on the Missoulas versus the Warriors yesterday.
How long did you stick in?
Wasn't a real big, wasn't a real close contest, was it?
What was that? Like
Up 50 at the half?
So like 101-50. What? I had to look at it for a while just to see if that was so.
7 straight games for the Celtics now. We record on Monday. 7 straight games where they've led by 20 or more at some point in the game.
But you know what? They have to win the title. I mean, there's no second place for them this year.
If they stay healthy, they're going to be the betting favorite. Got to stay healthy.
Charlie from Midlothian's concerned that Kroger and Albertsons will merge and that Albertsons will take over the accounting department and then kill his fuel point scam. Wish you the best
If
on
they're
that.
smart, they will.
Could happen.
That'll be the first thing that shows up with the auditors. Like, what is going on here?
Randy in Missouri City. When you do the scout, Brad, of TCU, make sure you do the scout on Jamie Dixon. He does things that don't show up in the box score. For instance, the 6-man zone defense where he plays the point in the 1-2-3s. Also his famous double pick and roll. I was setting a pick in the backcourt on the official when TCU's got the ball.
He's saying Jamie likes to come out
He
on
likes
the floor?
to get out there on the floor. Joe Mock in Texas, good friend. He goes to the dentist the other day. Girl's got a hoodie on that has the Mothman on it. And we apologize. We can't do pictures today. And if you've been watching during this episode, you also realize that about 9 of our cameras aren't working. So this has been a little Spartan. We're sorry. We're having technical things. But I'm going to tell you this right here, right now. I give a ton of credit. We took a kid out of high school to come down and run the show.
Talking about next man up, showing up, getting it done.
We
wanting the ball.
had a series of illnesses run through. We went 5 deep. We're on 5. This is not a joke. Took a kid out of high school, Ben Lohman, who works for us in the summer. I just mentioned him on the last show, didn't I? They had that
Ben's getting a lot of run on 3 guys. Might be here more than Hoppy.
He had 17 rebounds in a game recently, and he's in here running the show because we pulled him out of school. Fairly excused, right? Fairly excused.
I think excused.
They gave,
Great work
he didn't
experience
run out of there. Like, he didn't go side door on him. He said, look, I got to go do a working man's job in a working man town.
Sure.
Thank you, Ben. And then he comes in and none of the cameras work. Can't get the pictures. Other than that, it's been a hell of a show.
He just steps in, handles it.
Yeah.
Give him the ball.
So anyway, Joe sent me a picture of her name is Jordan. She says she's never been to West Virginia, but she loves the story of the Mothman so much. I started to explain to her how a certain podcast claims they know the inside story, but her eyes had already glazed over at that point. So I thanked her for letting me take the picture. So she works at a veterinary office there in Austin. So there you go. So I can't get you the picture, Joe, but anyway, it was Joe next to the young lady. P1 Jennings, been a while since I checked in. Just thanks for the constant laughter. I pay attention to the spreads on stats. By the way, I messaged Hoppy happy birthday last week and gave him an extended invitation anytime to meet in Charleston.
That's nice.
I'll go a step further and extend invitations to all of you to meet at a new place to try in Charleston when you're all here for the boys tournament. TC's got my contact info, so let me know.
Thank you, Jennings.
Very nice offer. Plus all that food we're going to be getting in as we do our month of March review samples. Professor Vinny here. As someone who coaches youth sports, I can attest to Tony's concern about officials and umpires and the potential shortage. I coach my daughter's T-ball team, and a lot of the umpires are other coaches or league board members. The biggest concern we have is parents' behavior. Numerous times last year, I had to tell my kids' parents that umpires aren't going to make the call right every time. They're volunteers. And oh, yeah, it's T-ball. Everyone gets the same exact trophy at the end of the year, even the champs. It's wild stuff, so I can see why there's a shortage. No one wants to deal with all the headaches. Hey, here's
really
the deal,
sad.
man. If you're a T-ball parent and you're screaming during your games about not being unhappy about calls, just shut up.
Here's the other thing, is that you need to learn early in life, whether it's T-ball or at some point, that the calls aren't always going to go your way. And it's not that you spend your life trying to get all the calls to go your way. You spend your life saying, how am I going to deal with things when they don't go my way?
Yeah.
That's one of the more valuable lessons in sport.
Here's another valuable lesson. When you're at that level, it doesn't freaking matter. Doesn't matter.
All due respect to both of you, not a single person listened to anything you just said.
Yeah, I know.
Not one.
You're not going to change them. I know.
All due respect.
Not going to change them.
Maybe not even all due respect.
Not going to change them. I get it. Three guys, the rational side.
Bad out there, Kirchville.
Bad out there?
It's bad out there.
Three guys, the rational side of my brain wrote off this men's basketball season about 2 weeks ago. After all, how's a team that's won 9 games all season, none on the road, none back-to-back, going to win 5 games in 5 days on the road? 10 minutes into the Texas Tech game, the Mountaineer side of my brain, apparently the dominant side, was calculating their NCAA tournament seed following the inevitable Big 12 championship. About 90 minutes later, the rational side was seen drinking a whiskey and smoking a cigar, and the Mountaineer side was ordering season football tickets. Thank you, Robin Atlanta. Last one in. Three guys. Recently, I was in Western Maryland and West Virginia, and I missed 3 episodes of Three Guys due to poor Wi-Fi. I was well entertained driving, though, back to Georgia. Time flew. I laughed a lot. Thank you for making the long drive less tiresome. There was some conversation about awful officiating of the games and the oversight, intentional or not, of blatant fouls. The notion was floated that it might be due to too few referees spread too thin. Well, I remember when there were 2 refs per game. I was in the Coliseum the first game 3 referees were used. The students immediately started chanting 3 blind mice. Doesn't seem to me that they were wrong. Would you please offer a brief explanation of when a call can be reviewed? If reviews were initiated more often, perhaps overlooking blatant fouls would stop. Lastly, I left my heart in West Virginia. Thanks so much for all you do and the connection to home. MJ in Savannah. We met MJ, Hoppy. Brett and I did.
Oh, yeah?
Got her picture made.
Got our picture made with her. Delightful lady. Her sister was there too. Yeah. So what's reviewable? You know, I can kind of half butt it and tell you, I probably next episode, let's make a note, and I'll just get the full, this is what can be reviewed.
Okay.
Good win for Mark Kellogg and the women over the weekend against a good TCU team. Mm-hmm. Had a 14-0 run to end the first quarter, 20-0 run overall.
So, I'm sorry?
20-0 run.
That's usually a good recipe.
Ball game. Good win.
Time for the tournament.
On to the Big 12 tournament.
First round bye, right?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yes, but unfortunately, J.J. Quinterly is injured. Did not finish the game Saturday against the TCUs.
Status?
So no, don't know yet. Yeah, they'll play the last game Friday night. is what they'll do. They'll play like after 9 o'clock on Friday night. So you just fingers crossed that.
Hope there's a speedy recovery there.
Yes.
She was limping after the game in the handshake line. Hope she's all right.
Yeah. Hate to see that. All right, we're out. So what is it? Thursday. Then next week's going to be helter skelter.
I'll be here Monday next week.
I won't.
Oh, yeah, you won't.
I leave Sunday.
You want to do something
TBD.
Sunday morning?
To be determined.
If I get back Saturday night.
We'll see.
All right, so here's the deal. We're going to try to do our best. We might not be back for 9 weeks. Don't know.
See you in July.
Yeah, see it. We'll be back.
Spring ball. No, spring ball.
As we said, no episode 800. It's not going to happen. Episode 537.
Might not get to 538.
Hanging in the balance. 3 guys brought to us by the Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Gomart. Go for good times. Go for Gomart. And go get that Gomart rewards card. And by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, efficient for 25 years. Special thank you to Ben Lohman for leaving high school, coming down the hill, and working the buttons on our show.
And we'll be back at high school in 10 minutes.
Back in high school and playing basketball. You might see him at the state tournament next week.
Yeah.
I got a chance. I got to beat Moorfield this week on the road.
Can he get his little double-double action?
Well, I want to see him hit his head on the rim. Just go up there and just hit his head on the rim. Just one.
All right.
Bring one down. All right, we're out. Thanks for being with us. See y'all.